All right. So, of course, thank you for coming on, Tony. This is one of those pretty, exciting things because we did that what was it, 2024, I want to
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
yeah, when we're
It's
on
got
the
to be
tour
around
bus
about
and
20. Oh, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah,
we
about
did the
2024. You're right. Yeah.
yeah, it was my old podcast and
That's right.
now this is like a newer version. It's a little different, and the thing is like I was telling Mark, that whole thing when you guys were doing the call out for the podcast, one of you guys said about Jerry Springer, and I
Yeah.
lost my shit on that one. Like, oh my god, I was so happy that you guys did that though.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was cool. That was cool. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, yeah.
when you think back then in such a short space of time, and now you're all grown up. Now you're all grown
No,
up. It's
Jesus,
so
yes.
amazing.
Oh my god, yeah. Uh, but yeah, we're gonna kind of dive into some of the regular stuff, talking about the band and stuff. But
Of
we're also
course.
gonna
Yeah.
start to think about like conspiracy theories.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and then at the end, I had Chat GPT write a roast about you.
Oh shit. Oh fucking hell. I'm the man for that then. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
I think
Mark was
I get roasted every fucking day on every
that's
forum,
awesome.
so I might as well go for ChatGPT's version. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I had to I had to actually dump some of them out because I'm like going, I'm not saying that. I like
Oh
this guy.
shit.
Yeah. But looking back, I mean, all the way back to like let's say 1979 with
Yeah.
Atomkraft, right?
Yeah.
And then you had Venom in 1988.
Yeah.
Um, what was the transition like for you? Going from leading your own band into joining one of the most influential and controversial metal acts of that
Well,
time.
it's a perspective thing, and I was talking about this to someone the other day, and they were telling me all these things, and I said, what's amazing is I didn't see it from the inside. They just did a celebratory show of of some Venom stuff in Germany, and they had some guests there: Schmier, Tom Angel, Ripper, um, Tom Morea, Gabriel Fisher. So I think it was Schmier I heard said. This is this material, influenced us. We were just kids, and it struck me then. I thought, yeah, we're just kids, but I didn't see it the same way as the people on the outside saw it because we were from a small part of the world, and it was very industrial. We all lived round about each other. We saw each other in pubs and brothers and your girlfriends, and Mantas' girlfriend lived across the road from my mom's house where I lived, and then her brother I used to jam with. He played guitar, and Conrad's girlfriend was in my class at school, and one of his first girlfriends. And the first time I went into a studio to have a look inside a studio was at Impulse Records, Impulse Studios, which became Neat Records. And they sent me upstairs with a couple of my guys from my punk band and said, "Oh, there's a young guy up there. He'll show you around." And we walked up there, and he was on a government scheme. It was called a youth opportunity scheme, where they'd pay you like £20 every 9 months or something to learn a trade that you were never going to be employed to do. But anyway, we went upstairs, and the guy who was showing us around, who was a tape op, was a very young, very skinny, very beautifully good looking Conrad Grant. And and he became Kronos, and so when you're in that kind of zone, everybody you met, all your peers, all the same guys, we were all in bands. The Avenger, Blitzkrieg, Hellenbach, Raven, Venom. So everybody, Atomkraft, we were all in bands. And so there was no kind of distinction between the two. And I remember Raven did a single, and then Fist did a single. And I thought, oh my god, these guys are putting singles out. And then Raven were doing an album. I thought, fucking hell, they're like local band, and now they're making an album. Because back then it was like we don't make albums and stuff. We play shows in pubs. But Deep Purple make albums, Black Sabbath make albums. Guys like us, we don't make albums. And here they were making albums. Neat Records was born, and it was like, oh fuck. So when Venom, I remember seeing proofs of their first photo shoot from his girlfriend at school. Well, it was at her house with my girlfriend, and she went, "Oh, Conrad's in a band now," and I was like, "Oh right, okay," because I was in my band, and she showed me these black and white photocopies off a photocopy machine, and they were the shoot that they used on the back of the Welcome to Hell thing. And I was like, why is he at the beach? Why has he got an axe in his hand? I thought it was all a bit mad. And I'd seen the band in a local church hall with another 20 people and 2 or 3 times. And we just thought, yeah, it's a bit noisy. But there was something about it, the noise and everything, and the personalities that I gravitated towards. And I like the heavier side. I like the uncoordinated stuff. I didn't like the standard new wave of British heavy metal. So for me, Venom was more Motorheady, more of that extension for me. And that's what my band was. That's what I was doing. I wanted to cross fertilize the Dickies with Motorhead, so get the heaviness and get the speed and see what happened. And that was pre the explosion. So when Venom pushed through the barrier and all of a sudden they made the single, which was incredible, in League with Satan and Live Like an Angel, still one of my favorite songs. And then Welcome to Hell, even though it was chaotic, it was over 3 days. They just turned up. They didn't know how to tune up. They didn't have all the songs. They just did it. It wasn't like an event. It was like it just happened, and I had a sense of pride in that somebody from our collective did something, but I didn't see it as they didn't. We didn't see it on a world scale. We didn't see the effect it was having. You can look back in hindsight now and see the effect it had, and many people will say those records were legendary and the black people were legends. Yes, but even Mantas himself was the first time they went to Europe was walking into a venue which was huge, and he said, went to walk on stage to just have a look. And one of the crew who was setting some equipment was singing Witching Hour, I think it was, or something like that. And even Jeff turned around and thought, how the fuck does he know? How does he know that song? Because the perspective wasn't there yet. It
That's
was
wild.
like, how is some guy who speaks a different language in a different country, how does he know the words to the song? So, it was all kind of fresh for us as young people. So my association was obviously connected to them for a long time before, when it from point zero, I mean, I was in the studios when they were recording the black metal album, First time I heard the black metal opening, I was like, oh my God, that's a fucking brilliant idea. That sounds so great. I mean, became what it became, So for me, there was a different perspective. And our management was the same. We were signed to Neat Records and we were kind of parallel. The first big tour we went on was with them and Exodus, throughout Europe, and we did shows with Early Slayer on the Hell of Weights, and we were part of that whole maelstrom, and the perspective kind of was different. We played in Copenhagen on the tour, and there was an issue with food for my band, and I'm on the bus and complaining about we don't get any food, and there's a knock on the door. And when I go to the door, it's Paul Baloff, God bless him, who's gone, a King Diamond, with a plate of food for us, And I'm like, it's all
Holy
right, I'll get
smokes.
something later. But at the time, I wasn't. They were just mates. They were just young people too in bands that I knew. They weren't these stars because the perspective was different. And Metallica came because they were in Copenhagen recording Ride the Lightning, and they were hanging out, and it was like just some young lads making a new album, because we were making albums and playing shows. And so by the time it got to the final tour I did with Atomkraft, and Kronos, after Calm Before the Storm, decided to leave the thing there. And I think he thought it was going to end, and took the two guitarists, Mike and Jim Clare, Mike Hickey, who was Bostonian anyway, Mike Hickey. So they moved to Boston, and he was going to do his solo career. But he was only there on a temporary visa. But I think if it worked, he would have probably stayed there. But then Music Foundation wanted to make an album. We just finished a European tour. The band was in a bit of disruption. The guitarist didn't want to do it anymore. He didn't like me. I guess the singer wanted to go with his girlfriend, because I had a singer at that point, and Ian Swift, who'd been in Avenger and Satan famously, and he didn't want he wanted to move somewhere with his girlfriend. So I basically thought, okay, well, I'm a bit too tired now. I've been doing this since '79, so maybe that's it. I'll go and do something else. And then Abaddon wanted to have a meeting with the Venom manager, Eric Cook, and they said, this is what's happened with Calm Before the Storm. Music for Nation have come in. They want to sign for 3 albums. We need an album. Do you fancy doing it? Because you know the band, you know the material, you know where we went wrong, and you're our friend. So I thought, I didn't consider I was replacing Conrad in my head. You know, people go, "Oh, you're filling in these big shoes." It's like, no, I wear my own shoes. I don't fill anybody else's shoes. I don't need to. But I thought, well, I like to play bass. I like the guys. I like the band. I like the music, and I get to sing it and write some new stuff with my friends. And I didn't know what I was going to do with Atomkraft, so I thought, well, maybe this is okay. I could do this for a bit of time. Of course, they promised me a load of money that I never ever saw, but that's beside the point. It wasn't. It's still not my point to do anything for money. But I just thought, yeah, great. So by the time we began, I straight away started writing for for Primeval, and I already had Primeval as a working thing for Amcraft. So I wrote Parasite, Black and Other Priests, Carnivorous pretty quickly, and Skeletal Dance, and I used some of Abaddon's lyrics, adapting them, of course, because he's not quite a lyricist, but. I adapted them to put on. And then, I started pondering about rehearsals, and that's when I was told that Mantas told them to fuck off when they asked him. So I said, oh shit, there's no Mantas. Jeff's not coming. And they went, well, no, because he doesn't want anything to do with it and us. And but, he's your mate and stuff. So we're figuring, why don't you talk to him? And I was like, okay, well, if he said fuck off, he doesn't want to do it. And to be fair, I'd rather do it with Jeff and you rather than with just you, um, because I thought it was more important. So I ended up talking to Jeff. We had a long chat, and he said, "Well, I'll do it if you do it." And I said, "Well, I'm only going to do it if you do it." So we agreed to do it, and yeah, he then came in with some song harder than ever and into the fire, of course, School Days. Um, yeah, and that was it. That was it. We started rehearsing. It felt good. We were all in a different place. We all had fun. It seemed quite progressive, um, and we were off. Yeah, so we that's kind of how it did. So at no point did it seem not natural. It kind of was a point to a point to a point. It just evolved into something. And to be fair, I didn't even consider what we were doing as a Venom album. I mean, it was a Venom album, but I didn't have a perspective on that the same as outsiders would have. And it only struck me the day we finished the mixing and it was mastered, and then we were at a place in Jacob Studios in Farnham in Surrey in the UK, and people were invited to come and listen, have a first listen, and of course it was journalists from every magazine, Kerrang, Metal Hammer, everybody, radio jocks, everybody came down, and as they were coming onto the property, I was in my room, I was watching, I started to dawn on me what we were about to do. This was a big event. This was Venom's album, and it wasn't the original 3 people. It was a new vocalist, bassist, and they were coming to with anticipation to see, is this going to work or not going to work. And I started to then think, oh fuck, I didn't think about that. Um, Unfortunately, they heard the album and everybody fucking loved it, gave it 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, whatever it was, and we were off. So it was great, and that first tour for that year, we ended up with a live 90 video from the Marquee, which apparently is legendary and people love, and yeah, it just worked. And the fans were amazing. There was no kind of
Mhm.
gatekeepers in those days. So it was all fresh, so they just supported it, and yeah, it was an amazing time.
Speaking of like Primeval, you've had what, roughly 3 albums, right, with Venom? Am I
Well,
right?
yeah, we did 3 studio, an EP, and
Yeah.
then we did another album, which had two
Sure.
new tracks on and was re-recorded older stuff. So we kind of had
Mhm.
four albums really and an EP, and then the live video. Yeah,
Yeah, because I remember Primeval, Temples of Ice, and then, The Wastelands, right?
yeah,
Those are the ones I
those.
remember.
Yeah, those were the three Music for Nation albums. Yeah.
Yeah, out of that, what I would say, like, what's the one that is, like, your shining star or your proudest?
Well, I think it's a collective for me, because I think there's moments on all of them which I adore, and there's moments on all of them which I don't adore. So, I mean, Primeval
Oh,
was
that
the big one because of the launch, but we didn't tour the Temples of Ice. The cover was dreadful. We didn't see it until it was printed, and even when it was printed, the record label on the first couple of passes, fuck knows what they looked like. They just went, "We're not putting that fucking thing out. Redo the cover." We weren't involved in the artwork, but I hate the cover of it, the front cover. But I also think that Nick Tauber, Whiskey in a Jar, and he did loads of stuff with Thin Lizzy and others. He produced Primeval, and in order to save some money so they could steal it, they decided, oh, we can produce that. So it was produced without a producer, really. It was Kevin Ridley, who was a brilliant studio engineer and very talented musician, went on to sing in Skyclad, and he was brilliant, but he was under the duress of the Venom management, and they were in control of the money, so they decided they could produce it, and I just think the quality of the production was terrible compared to Primeval. And I think the same thing with the Wasteland. It was slightly better production than Temples of Ice, but it still was no match to Primeval. And I think the quality of the material, mm, had we had Nick Tauber again or another producer, would have been better albums, and obviously proper artwork would have been great, because even on the Wastelands we didn't see that artwork until it was finished. And whether you like it or you don't like it, I didn't fucking like it because I didn't get it. I was like,
sure.
what is that? What's the fuck's that got to do with anything on the album? I just didn't understand
Right.
it. And then there was all these pictures, these manipulated pictures of fucking lightning bolts. I'm like, what is this shit? And then I realized those were all photos that Tony Bray had, which they were looking at to
Mhm.
use for the cover of Calm Before the Storm. So it was kind of like, it just felt like they were trying to get the money off the record label, and that's all they were interested in. And that was never where I was at. But I think listening to the albums with Venom Inc, I've got an opportunity, because the whole point with Incorporated is to incorporate all of our music, all the music. So not just all Venom songs, but on my period Venom songs nobody ever heard. So now Cursed is in our set, and the Black Legions is in our set, Wolverine's in our set, Temples of Ice, Tribes. I can pick songs that I think were really good songs that didn't really get the opportunity they deserved. I can put them into our set, play them live, have people respond to them, and then deliver them in the way I always thought they should be delivered. Yeah, so I think,
Sure.
rather than pick an album, I think there's a cumulative
Mhm.
songs of each product that I like.
No, that's good to hear because there's a lot of people where they are a lot of artists that just only hone in on that one, and
Yeah,
that's all you hear is that album
yeah,
live.
and now
You never hear
exactly.
anything, no B sides, no EP, no
Yeah,
anything.
that's
You
it.
know.
That's an exact thing. It's like, listen, Lemmy got bored of playing Ace of Spades, but and even though I knew I could relate to that, going, you do 300 shows a year for 10 years, playing Ace of Spades at every show over 10 years, you'd be bored of it, I guess, or you think, oh, why do I have to keep playing this song? And I agree with that. But if I went to see Motorhead, and I'd seen them a million times, if I went to see them and they didn't play it, a little piece of me go, fuck, they didn't play it. So
Oh,
I wanted them to
100%.
play it.
Yeah.
So it becomes
Yeah.
part of your identity. But for me, I wanted to look at the B sides, Live Like an Angel, Dead of the
Mhm.
Night, all those classic songs, Anomaly Satanis, all the songs that weren't in the set, that didn't get to play. And I'm exactly the same with my period. I want to find those songs from that period. If I incorporate them into a Venom Inc. show, I want to find the songs
Mhm.
that were never played. We're just about to go out with Zach Wild, and we've got songs in our set from Arvey that never got played,
That's awesome.
that people loved, and oh, please play
Yeah.
that, please please play that, but it didn't get played. And I'm like, fucking, let's play all the stuff people have been wanting to hear that they
Yeah.
haven't been able to hear. So that's where I stand with it, you know?
And the thing is, like when we had Mark on, he brought up that Black Label Society, Zach Wild show that you guys are doing, and it's great to hear because there is there's some similarities between both, I guess, versions of
Yeah.
what you guys play because he definitely has a black metal side to him. You
Oh
know,
yeah. You know, I mean,
yeah, I
Zach.
love it.
Yeah, he's Pantera, Ozzy, of course. He's metal through and through, and okay, more maybe more mainstream than underground, but that gives us an opportunity. We're flexible in that way. You know, we have the tour with a Black Label, but in between the dates, because he doesn't play consistent dates like we do normally would do, so we punctuated those dates with our own shows where we have Torture Squad and Imperium and Devastator. We have some great bands coming with us to play shows on in between the Black Label shows. So it's an opportunity. When we play those shows, we can be much more underground. We can play the fast stuff, the B-side stuff, the stuff that people are dying to have to lose their mind to. And when we play the Zach stuff, we can play the more adult stuff, if you like, the less underground stuff. So we can play the Dying Fleischers and the Preacher Mans and all of those kind of groovy songs, you know, because then that sits with Zach and that whole feeling too. So we're really privileged position because our catalog, if well my catalog, if I include from Primeval, is quite a large one. If we're in front of a crowd where we've got fucking Obituary and Suffocation, so playing School
Right.
Days is not going to work. Playing Primeval is going to sound ploddy and slow, but we
Hmm.
could play Time to Die, we can play Parasite, Black Under the Priest, we can play those kind of songs. But with Zach Wild, we can't go out there playing A Witching Hour or Sons of Satan. No, his audience is going to go,
Yeah,
what the fuck's
yeah.
going on?
They're gonna
So
throw vests at you, you know.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it gives us an opportunity to play those other songs that we don't get to play normally with our set, and so
Right.
we can play two sets. And the amazing thing as well, because I incorporate all of the material, I don't want to not miss something out. It it means that every night is a different night because every night you're going to hear something that somebody last night didn't hear. Somebody tomorrow night is not going to hear what we just played. They're going to have something different. So it keeps it fun for us and fun for the audience, because with digital media, you know, I've said a million times, is that in the old days, I didn't know what the band. I went to see Rose Tattoo, AC/DC, whoever it was, Judas Priest. I didn't know what songs they were going to play unless I had a buddy and I had a call with him from the show the night before. But I didn't know. I had to go to the show. Um, I had to wait for it to start, and then whatever they played, that's what I heard. Whereas these days, if we're doing 30 dates, the guy comes to the show, he takes a picture of our set list and then takes video of the whole show, and it's up on the internet that night. So someone at the very last show already knows all the songs we're going to play and how they're going to sound. And I'm like, it's like telling someone at the end of the fucking movie. Don't tell them the end of the
Right.
movie.
Right.
Let them experience the movie. So that's why I changed the set, and I don't tell people what we're playing. People go, "Oh, you're going to play this song?" I go, we might not. I mean, what do you want me to say?
You're
I
gonna
tell you every song you want to
you're
hear, and then you're going to tell everybody
yeah.
what we play. So I want to
You're
make
gonna
it
really screw
exciting.
up you're really gonna screw up setlist.fm.
Yes.
They're gonna be like, you're gonna have some moderator on there going, I have no idea what they played last night now.
Yes, exactly. And
That's awesome.
it's
That's
already
awesome.
happened. You know, I saw a set list from a year or two ago. Recently, someone said, "Oh, are you playing anything off this set list?" And when I looked at the set list, they just added songs like that we had played, and they'd missed out like a whole bunch that we'd played. You know, so they're obviously going, "I can't keep track of what's going on." But I think that's good. I think that's good. You know, in a society we are today, where we see everything, we hear everything, and it's all at our fingertips. You know, I don't want to see the Christmas presents before I've unwrapped the paper. I know what I asked for. I know what I'm hoping to get, but I don't know
Right.
if I got it or not. So I want to get
That's a
down
good
on.
analogy.
Yeah, like there's
Yeah,
something nice about that, unwrapping that and having something unexpected, like the
yeah.
first time we played Manitou when nobody expected we'd ever play Manitou, and I got us to play Manitou. Or
No,
we
that's awesome.
closed, we played with Danzig and the Damned in Los Angeles once, in a amphitheater. It was about 15,000 people or whatever, and we played Dead of the Night. And even
That's
Mantas was going, I don't know how this is going to work. I mean, trust me, we played it. The people went fucking crazy because
yeah.
who's gonna expect that? Nobody. So that's why you do it.
I'll tell you what, I'll just go on setlist.fm and fill it out anonymously, and I'll just
Yeah,
do your whole discography. So it's like,
brilliant.
90
That's
freaking
it. Yeah, that's it. That's
songs
it.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
just do it every date they have the tour.
exactly, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, that was the premise of calling the band Incorporated. It's not another Venom. There's one Venom, and that's the Venom that Conrad is still in producing albums, and he's just dropped a new album, and his guys have been in his band together with him 17 years. So you could pretty much say that's Venom. Venom Inc. Venom Incorporated was. To incorporate all of the music that we have done, me, him, together, separately. We could play any song that we've ever recorded. That was the idea. So I could play some Atomkraft songs, who gives a shit? Some Mantas song, an Abaddon solo song, whatever. An old Venom song, a new Venom song, new song. It didn't matter. It was just all connected to the same tree. And people then got the wrong idea. And I think, there was a push to go, oh, Venom against Venom. It's like, it was never Venom against Venom. If I went to Costa Rica and Venom, Conrad's Venom never went to Costa Rica. If I went to Costa Rica to play and people wanted to hear those songs off that album, but War with Satan, Black Metal, whatever it was, that they never got an opportunity to hear, and I could bring Mantas and Abaddon and myself there and we could play those songs, they wanted to hear them. It's not about some guy in a bedroom somewhere deciding whether it's not pure or whatever. That the people in front, they want to hear them. Why should they not experience it live when they've invested themselves into that music and it means something to them? And it's their choice. If I stand on stage and the audience go, don't play any old Venom stuff, that's not a problem. But if I'm on stage and there's a 16-year-old kid holding up a phone, which happened recently with Spotify with Don't Burn the Witch, and he's holding it for the whole show every time we go near him. Well, he wants to hear that song, so we play it. He
Yeah.
loses his mind. He doesn't care
Yeah.
who it is playing it. He just wants to hear it from us. And so
Yep.
that's my focus. The focus is the audience and that connection. Not someone's political propaganda about
No.
this or that or the other. Purely the music, purely the fans. They're the ones who bought the music. They're the ones who buy the tickets. They're the ones who buy your merchandise. They're the ones who pay you so you can pay your rent
Yeah.
and feed yourself and live like a rock star or
Exactly.
whatever it is. So they
And
deserve something for that.
and the thing is too is like the metal community, I mean, from the get-go for me in the 80s to now, everybody's become very elitist,
Yes.
and it annoys the hell out of me because like
Yeah.
there was this debate with you guys, like who's the true continuation of Venom.
I know.
That shouldn't be part of it. And
No.
you illustrated it very good just now.
It
It
is.
it
People
has a
get
lot to do
caught.
with
I understand. I understood it originally because the premise is that they feel, because people want to be nostalgic, and you were 16 in 1983, and you want to feel 16 again because everything was fresh and new, and now you're in your 50s or you're nearly 60, and it all feels a bit staid, and you don't like grunge or you don't like new metal or you didn't kind of dig what the kids are getting into. Fine, I totally get that. You go back to going, oh, when I smell that smell, it reminds me of my grandma baking apple pie. Fantastic, yeah. And this reminds me of my granddad sitting his pipe while and it's a lovely, lovely memory. But the world moves on, and you have to progress. And what people tend to forget is that you know, you can't gatekeep that stuff. It's gone. It's part of your history. You love what you love. You don't like what you don't like. That's great. But you have to allow the progression because you were 16. But you know what? Every year, since you became 60, someone has turned 16. So every year, a 16-year-old has discovered something for the first time, like you did. And we played with Candlemas in November, this thing for Bloodstock.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
And it was an anniversary show. And they asked Simon Hall asked me, would you play something special? I said, yes, of course. What would you like me to play? And he said, well, could you play all of Ave? I was like, oh, yeah. We've never played that live before. So I decided, okay. So we were, a lot of the time, we were only going to play the album Ave. And people said, oh, it's a bit of a risk, isn't it? I was like, why? Well, you're not playing any Venom, like no black metal or which, I said, why? I said, we're Venom Inc. So we played the show. It was brilliant. It went down great. Everybody
That's
was chanting
incredible.
along. The reviews were great. People enjoyed it. They were going, that was amazing. And it's like, that's the kind of freedom I want to have. So to get caught in the war of we're an extension of that, that's
Yeah.
fans driving that. But I understand when they try and gatekeep, it's because they don't want their memory and that to go away completely. They want to keep a
Yeah.
hold of it. So
Yep.
and to some extent, that's probably why the rock stars from then keep going. The Rudy
Yeah.
Salazars and Venom, obviously, and myself, and because you also don't want to let go of that tether. But from my point of view,
Sure.
I don't want to live at that moment. I want to live at this moment. And bring that moment
Exactly.
forward for somebody else who's 16 this week. I'll see them at a show in 2 weeks' time. I want them to have the same experience that I had the first time I saw Motorhead or whoever it was.
Yeah, and the thing is, my first show was Ozzy when Randy Rhoads was still alive.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So it was 1981,
Wow.
and my uncle took me to it, and he got so much guff for taking me to that
I bet.
because the whole bat thing and all this
Of
stuff was
course. Yeah,
around
yeah,
that
yeah.
time, and
Oh,
uh,
evil,
but I got to
satanic evil.
experience the Blizzard of Oz,
Yeah,
live,
yeah.
and that was where I started like wanting to play guitar, and
Yes.
like with what you're saying too. I mean, bringing new material plus you're playing the old. There should be that timeline in the chronological order,
Yes.
whether it's mixed or not. And I don't understand, like, the rock feeds and the blabbermouths and the
Yeah.
Loudwire. They put out this clickbait all the time
Of
that goes,
course.
"Oh, why is Tony doing Venom Inc? And
Yeah.
what happened here and why isn't this, that, and the other thing?" They're just coming up with a bunch of BS,
Of
and
course.
and of course, I'm not saying that for the same reason, but it's
No.
like there's so much honesty with what you're doing because
But
you're literally doing it for the fan, not
at the end of the
because
at the end of the day, when we started going out again, because I wasn't into the whole idea when with Empire of Evil. I'd kind of moved on. I was acting and I was working as a technician in theater doing automation. I had a really good job, good prospects. Everything was rosy. I was making money. I didn't need to play music anymore. I'd stopped doing it because I wanted to. And when Jeff wanted to begin again, with Empire of Evil, which molded itself into Venom Inc. I said, okay, well, he asked me, and I said, okay, then, okay. I said, but it has to mean something, and we can't retire. Like, if we do it, you can't put your guitar back under the bed again. Like, this is it. If I say yes, we do it until we can't do it anymore. And that's what I intend to do. That's what I intend to do, and I've lost some of my heroes, Lemmy obviously, and Ozzy just gone, and they were all heroes to me too. And it's like, so now I'm that person, or the older person. Then it's up to me to keep carrying that torch until I go, so that the next person, even if it's one person out of 20 billion people on the planet, sees that and feels inspired to do the same. That's keeping the burning torch alive. That's passing it on. We don't know what's coming. We don't know what music's coming and what the state the world's going to be in, but we're still forging forward with music in a community which is extreme or heavy metal, which is the most congress laden type of music on the planet. You know, it's like, and when you know, when you hear how many kids bought into the Spice Girls, and now they feel, yeah, nah, when I was a kid. But you know, how many kids first heard Judas Priest and are still fucking wearing Judas Priest and going to Judas Priest shows, or Iron Maiden or Metallica? It's a different kind of. There's something about what we do. There's something about our community that once
Yeah.
it's in you for life, and
Yep.
that's
I
how I
was
feel.
definitely
And
into Spice Girls for
yeah,
way different reason.
oh yeah, of course, yeah, yeah.
Right.
There is that, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think that's it. So honestly, yes, it's, you know, you don't make a lot of money doing this unless you know, you're at a particular point where you become a corporation, and you have a world around you and you're selling millions of records. Everybody knows you can't make it from streaming. They go on about merchandise. Yeah, you can make 10 grand a night selling merchandise. Not if you're in the middle of Spokane, it's in the middle of winter, and only 12 people could fucking battle the snow to get to your show. You're not going to make 10 grand, are you? You're barely going to make juice for the fucking vehicle. But does that mean you don't do it? You know, do you go to Panama to play a show to 10 people? But they're 10 fans. They've got every record. They bought all the shit. They've been listening to you all the time. They've got all your merchandise. They bought it. Uh, um, do you not go and play because you feel embarrassed playing to 10 people? So they never get to see you because you can't be fucking asked to go there? That's bollocks. It's bollocks. If I can get there, I'll fucking
100%.
get there. If someone wants to bring us there,
Yep.
they can bring us there. And that's my intent, to go, you know, it's a way to honor your fans, respect your fans, and say thank you to your fans. And those
Yeah.
people who try and, you know, derail it, or compare it or gatekeep it, you know, they're doing it for selfish reasons. But they're not
Yeah.
it's disrespectful, of course, and it's propaganda. But think about the fans. You're telling fans that A, may not know, B, do not give a fuck, that they shouldn't be listening to something that you don't want to listen to. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
like
the
me
thing
and you,
is
that's
too
like
is
me and
like
you going to a cafe, you ordering coffee and go, you can't drink that because I don't like coffee. You'd be like, well, fuck you, I do. You know, it's like, hang
right.
on.
But you know, in the US, there's been so many you know, low ticket sales and cancellations.
Yeah.
It's like just play the damn show.
Well,
You know,
exactly.
go ahead and eat that a little bit because that makes you
I
know, or that makes your fans know that you're an artist and you're doing it for them.
Yes,
It's not just a
it's
business,
difficult
you know.
when you work with venues. It's easier when you work through agencies. First thing they go is like, oh, how many tickets did you sell last time, and where did you play, and what revenue did you get in? Because they want to make as much money as they can, because they're agents too. That's their job. So if they're getting 10%, 15% of you, the more they can get, the more the better it is. So you know, some of them don't do a lot, some of them do less, and some of them work like Trojans. You know, but they all get the same kind of percentages from whatever happens. So it's got to be of interest to them, and financially to them is it. Not how many people you're playing to, how much money they're going to make. That's it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's very difficult, but you can still do shows without them. And I hear. Lots of times I hear things about visas and I know it's
Yeah.
difficult. You can't make money. It's like, okay, well, we've done tours that are not number one tours. We haven't got the magic wand, hasn't let us go out with Testament and you know, big acts and stuff like that. I mean, we went out with Danzig, which was great, but we don't get to be one of those the Death Angels and the Exoduses, and we don't get any of that package. So we go out with, you know, smaller bands, you know, bands with 2 or 3 albums on smaller labels, maybe minimal promotion, but we still get our visas because you apply in time, you make sure you do everything right, and if you do it well enough in advance, you've got your visa 3 months before you go. So you don't have a last minute issue where you can't afford it, or you know, you have you have problems with the red tape. You plan it in advance. Like we got visas this year for next year. We're not going till next year, but we got the visas now. Why? So that we don't have an issue when it comes to going. Um, but you can work directly with the venues. You can always play the shows. There's always someone who wants to put a show on, and and you just got to go and do it. And like I said, don't get caught up with how many people are there. You know, we could play to 500,000 people at Poland Rock, and then we could go play to 100 people at a pool hall. I don't care if those 100 people want to feel the same experiences as the 500,000 people at Poland and Rock, then they're going to get it, you know? We don't underplay a show. We give you the same fucking energy, the same show. And that's amazing, but that's how it should be.
Yeah,
But a lot of people won't do it because they don't make enough money for themselves, and they cover all their costs, but they don't make a living, as much of a living as
sure.
they'd like to. And also, they don't do sometimes because they feel a bit embarrassed that if they're going to do a club shows and they're only playing to 80 people, you know, that's going to get out and they're going to look like they suck. It's like that's got nothing to do with it, you know, particularly in
Right.
America where people might have to drive 4 or 5 hours. Now if you're playing on a Tuesday night and the guys are finishing work, they've got to drive all the way to you 4 or 5 hours, then they've got to get back because they've got to go to work the next day, which means they can't drink. And so, you know, it's not always practical for the audience. So you've just got to take it as it comes, you know. But that should you not play because of that? Fucking hell! The whole point is to play. The whole point. There's not a band in the world that hasn't played to a handful of people when they're out there. It's don't be embarrassed by that. Don't worry about that. And if someone goes, there was only this amount of people there, fuck them. Who cares? Were they there? Did they come? Did they like you? Or they're not bothered anyway. So they're just being verbose about you, but they didn't like you to start with. So
Right.
if you're not going to come to my show anyway, and you don't like what I'm doing anyway, and you don't like me as a personality anyway, then why should
Right.
anybody listen to you? You know, it's like
Yeah. You
just
know,
do
you
your
brought up
thing.
you brought up Latin America and South America a few times in this. It seems to hold a special place to you.
Yeah.
What's it like connecting with fans in that region versus like North America and the UK?
I think it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. People are people. You know, it doesn't matter. I mean, I guess that's my point. You know, people are people wherever you live on the planet, whatever religion they are, whatever vice they have, whatever politics they have, whatever language they speak, whether you understand it or not, people are people. They eat, they shit, they sleep, they want to have fun, they want to laugh, they want to love, they want to be angry, they kick the cat, they kick the rabbit. You know, they punch the wall, they go to school, they go to work, they hate it, they
Good
like it.
lord.
You know, everybody's the same. But there's something about the speed of life. You know, if you're in New York, everything's 1,000 miles an hour. If you're in New Orleans, it feels like everything's a party. If you're in Idaho, it feels like people are just going, "What are you rushing for? Take your time, just enjoy your food," you know. And so there's this mix in North America that's incredible. Depends on where you are. Everything looks so beautiful. People are warm or open, and if you respect them, they respect you back. And but it's very different speeds, and the same thing in London. You know, in London it's like 1,000 miles an hour,
Yeah.
but if you go to the countryside, it's a bit relaxed. You know, same
Yeah.
thing all over the planet. But I think generally in South America. Brazil is so close to my heart. I just feel I'm at home in Brazil. The food, the
Mm.
people, the climate. You know, I would spend some time in Colombia and right on the equator, and every day was a perfect day. You know, you could pick papaya or mango
Yeah.
off the tree and just have it for breakfast with a cup of coffee and watch the world come to life. You know, Mexico, love the people, love the food. I worked there several times.
Hmm.
I shot a movie there. I worked with the Royal Shakespeare Company there. I've toured there several times, many times. Chile
Mm.
is incredible. You know, lots of friends. And because I've been going down there since the 80s, you know, I've got friends all over these places, you know,
Sure.
Chile, Peru, Bolivia, you know, Colombia, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, you know, all very different, amazing foods, amazing climates, amazing things to see, and such a warmth of people. So, yeah, it's really in my heart, I think, Latam as a whole. But you know, people go, oh, well, when you go down there or you go to Japan, the fans are crazy. I mean, they're crazy. They're not like anywhere else on the planet. It's like, mate, you know, I played the Fillmore in Seattle with Danzig and Power Trip. That was a fucking incredible night. You know, I
That had
played
to be a
this
banger. Yeah.
banger, fucking banger. I played
Oh,
Sinvitus. We did 2 nights in a row in Sinvitus in Brooklyn. It was off the map good. They went fucking nuts. We went nuts. It was amazing. So it happens everywhere. There's nothing special about the fans down there going crazy or the fans in Japan going crazy. If you got a banger of a show in North America and even in England, the fans will go crazy. So, they're just people like us. They like what they like. They don't like what they don't like. And I think the difference maybe with the UK as opposed to America and America as opposed to South America is conservatism, I guess. I guess in Latam, they don't have any
sure.
conservative stuff. They don't give a fuck what's going on. They don't care what the
Yeah.
cops think. They don't care what the authorities think, and they just let themselves go. That's why you have fucking someone in the middle of a show set a fire and fucking
Oh,
flares
jeez.
going off. You
Yeah.
just think, oh my. So that's the extreme difference, I think. They don't have any rules when
Yeah.
you go to a show. So that's brilliant, though. I love that. I love that.
I w
The punk
I was gonna
spirit.
say, you said about the North America thing, and you were saying that people respect each other and, everybody's this, that, and the other thing, but I'm thinking, like, you must not ever been to New York.
Oh
Like
yeah. No, I
like,
have,
yeah,
but
they
it's
say they say "fuck you" as, like, a hello, you
yes,
know?
but I think that's it. I think that's it. It's kind of a yeah, it's kind of a combination thing. I think they're expected because you're in New York. It's the same thing in London. It's like when you have a city that gets so much tourism, so many people from elsewhere in the world staying there. You have this hodgepodge of thing. I think you kind of have an attitude that everybody's going to have an attitude, and you don't want to waste your time. So I think that because New York's almost a gateway into the states, that they have their own way of yeah. So they basically, but I walked into a bar once in the Bronx, and I went for a walk, and there was a bar, and I just went and sat in the Bronx, and it was a typical kind of Bronxy type of bar with New York attitude and everything else. And yet, after about 10 or 15 minutes, I was sitting with a whole bunch of guys. We would join and drinking and watching sports and just laughing off fucking. And, I'd never been there before. And so I think once you break through that substance of the fuck you, fuck off, don't bother me. Then you break
Yeah.
into something because it's the same with New York and London. If you try and ask someone on the street for their time, you're lucky if anybody
Oh my
stops.
god.
They're like,
What do I look like?
get
Do
the
I look
fuck
like
out.
Big
Yeah,
Ben?
exactly.
Do I look
Yeah.
like Big Ben? Do I have a clock around my neck
Fuck you,
like
buy a
Flavor
watch. Yeah,
Flav?
you're like, oh,
You know?
sorry.
Yeah.
But you gotta love it. You gotta
Um,
love that. Because again, that's another side of America, It's like
yeah.
it's another side of
Uh,
America.
yeah. Uh, I wanna jump into this before you jump into the fun part.
Yeah. Oh, this wasn't the fun part. I
Demolition
thought this was the fun part.
it is, it is,
Oh
it is,
good,
it
oh
is,
good.
but, this is gonna be, a whole whole 'nother level after this.
Oh
So,
shit.
I didn't ask you last time, I don't think, but Demolition Man is a legendary nickname for you. What's the story behind it, and how do you feel that that fits with you today?
Well, the story was we were playing. We got a call to play a show. It was on a Saturday afternoon, and I was in an HMV in the middle of Newcastle, and one of our crew guys, one of my best friends, but he was also crewing for us, came running in, sweating, and he said, "Shit, there's a show. Someone offered us a show." So I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, there's a show tonight." I was like, fuck, okay." So it was me and the drummer were in the store. So I said, "Go home and get your stuff then, and we'll meet you." And my friend said, "Oh yeah, my brother's going to get the van, so we'll collect you all, and then we'll go and get the gear." So I was like, "Okay." So I said, "Right, we got to find the guitarist, Steve White." So I got back to my mom's. Was trying to find Steve. Now he's out with his girlfriend. I said, "Fuck, we got a show. We got to find him." So he would walk past my house on the way to his house. So I got changed. I was all ready. The guys were going to get the van. The drummer was on his way. And I was just staring at the front window, hoping I could see the guitarist because in those days we didn't have mobile phones, so there was no way of contacting him. And then I saw him walking across the road with his girlfriend. So I raced out and I said, Steve, go home and get your fucking clothes. We've got a show. When? Tonight. Yeah. What? I said, yeah, we're playing with this American band. The band's dropped out and they phoned and asked us, could we do it? So he goes home, gets his clothes, and we all meet. We get the stuff. We go to the show. Now, in those days, everybody played solos. So you'd have a drum solo, a guitar solo, a bass solo. That's what the professionals did. So we were professional because we were
Right.
playing a live show. So we got to do
Yeah.
a solo. So the drummer done his little bit. Steve did his little bit on the guitar, and then it was my turn to play bass. And there was some tables kind of in front of us, and a couple of people had been chatting through the show, which was starting to piss me off because I didn't want people chatting. And so when it came to do my bass solo, I ran across and jumped up on their table, kicking their glasses all over, and started playing the bass, and there was no sound. When I turned round, I'd pulled over all my equipment. The amps had smashed on the ground, so there was fire. The tubes had blown up. All the crew came out. We're trying to put the
Epic.
flames out and grab the stuff. And I was thinking, oh fuck, because it wasn't even our gear. We'd borrowed it off Avenger, and I was thinking, oh shit. And Steve went to the microphone and just pointed at me and went, ladies and gentlemen, the Demolition Man. And that was it. It stuck from then. People just go,
Oh,
oh, you're that
wow.
guy. You're that guy. So they just started calling me the Demolition Man. But I think over the years, it became my alter ego. So, like, as Tony, you go, you can't do this. We have to do that. This should be like this. And I'm like, okay, no worries. Yeah, that's fine. But in order to perform, because I was always the Rocky in every situation, to the Apollo Creed, always the underdog. I still am, as you can tell by how I get bashed on the internet. So um, I'm always fighting for my space. So I use the Demolition Man to do that because he doesn't give a fuck what anybody thinks. What anybody does, and he has no rules. So I take him on stage. When I get on stage, he takes over. It's his. It's his. So he doesn't give a shit. Tony does. Tony cares, and Tony gets bad, and Tony feels that, and Tony feels angry, and Tony feels all of those things. But he doesn't. The Demolition Man doesn't, and so I'm kind of glad I got him. I say he saved me a lot of times. But yeah, he has no rules, and so I've embraced that. And of course, there is the alter side of that is I do break things constantly. So, the first time I got into someone's car, went to see John Cezula, bless him,
Oh,
in
yeah,
Florida.
yeah.
And
Great friend of mine. Well,
yeah,
was. Rest in
yes,
peace, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And someone came to pick me up to take me somewhere, and the guy turns up, brand new car. I get in the car, I grab his handle beside the door to pull myself into a comfortable position. Fucking pulls it straight off in my hand, and I go to the guy. I go, "Shit! I pulled your handle off, man." And he's like, "This is my new car." I went, "I'm so sorry." He went, "Ah, forget it. Put it in the glove box." So that's the Demolition Man. If it can be broken, he'll break it.
I was gonna say, now it's like an accidental Demolition Man,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it can
Yeah,
be. Yeah,
that's
sometimes it's on
incredible.
tours, and now it's a kind of accidental. It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're like the Kramer of metal, you know?
yeah, you could say
Yeah.
that. I like that. Yeah,
So, I wanna jump into the idea of, conspiracy theories with you.
yeah, cool,
Um, yeah, I don't know your take on them, but I've had some wild ones in the last few interviews that are coming out.
brilliant.
So, um, but yeah, I mean, what's your take on them, and what's one that like either sticks in your mind or you think it's like, what the hell are you thinking? You
Well,
know,
well, there's so many, isn't there? I mean, particularly these days, COVID and everything to go beside. I mean, I suppose it does intrigue me the moon landings still, um, because that was in the '60s,
same
and
here.
but what I can't get through my head is, and I've been to the Smithsonian, and looked at the vehicles and stuff, and you think there's a tiny kind of paper, silver paper, aluminium-y type of Baco foil substance, which was the only thing protecting them in that vehicle. And then these suits, which, sometimes they had the visors open, and when you look at Apollo 13 of them sitting, and then you think there's a radiation belt just outside gravity, outside the atmosphere, and you have to go through that radiation belt to get out into space and to then get to the moon and back. And they talk about things, radiation directly from the sun, and I just wondered, how did they do, not did they, not about them shooting it on Earth, but how on earth did they do that in the first place with the least protection against radiation, where there's still generational people in Japan, which was decimated by 2 nuclear weapons, who still have cancer in their family from that point, and yet that was, they lived outside the blast zone, but they still manufacture, and the disaster at the place in Chernobyl, and so you think of and people in Arizona where they did all the testings and stuff. So you think of all these people getting second degree cancers from just being near the area, and then you have these astronauts going through a radiation belt with very little protection to come back to Earth with very little protection, exposed to radiation for days and months and stuff, and they're fine.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. They
Yeah.
live to a ripe old age,
It's-
and I'm so just that alone means like, how is it? How was that even possible? Did it happen? I don't know, but there's too many
Like
questions. There's too many questions, I think.
they got back and just had a handful of like kernels from popcorn, and they hold it and it just pops.
Well, yeah, it's
You
like,
know, I mean
yeah,
that's the cool part
totally.
about radiation at that point.
Well, yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
come on, seriously. So I don't know. I mean, at that
Yeah.
point, the Cold War,
Hmm.
yeah, there was a lot of they do things they go to war sometimes to change the thinking of the people, and
Yeah.
they do things, to try and manipulate us. And you just think at that point, there was a fear over Russia, the Bay of Pigs and all, so if you then went to the moon, first of all, it distracts everybody from whatever else is going on, but also it gives you hope, and it also tells your enemies, like, yeah, we can go to the moon, mate. So if you want to fuck with us, then you got to do something, because the Russians went up into space, the Americans panicked and they wanted to go up into space, and so it becomes a space race. Um, so I think there was lots of reasons they should have made it happen, but did it actually happen? Did they get to the moon? I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. Why would these? If it was a conspiracy, it was quite a large conspiracy. So there is that question, but it just feels like maybe you manipulated everybody into everybody who worked there. Maybe even the people at Mission Control and NASA. Maybe they didn't all know. Maybe they thought it was actually happening, but maybe it didn't. It's a wonderful Twilight Zone
Yeah.
episode that
It is.
I
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
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 So you may have
Um,
you may have manipulated even the people who were working on the project to think it was really
100%.
happening. Yeah.
As they say, you drink the Kool-Aid, you know.
Yeah, yeah. If you're
Yeah.
susceptible, that's the thing. That's a good point. I think if people with conspiracy theories, if
Yeah.
you if you already would like to think there's something going on, then you look for the proof that it is. You don't question the stuff that is the question that it isn't. So you might have some facts, and you think, well, yeah, but they could be manipulated. But I've read, because what's interesting, you see all the time on the internet when people go, well, I think this and this and this and this. They go, you should do your research. And you're going, yeah, but I've done my research. Yeah, but where have you got your research from? Well, the internet. And they go, oh, you got it from the internet. See, I don't do that. Well, where do you get your research from? A book or the internet? You've got to get it from one of the two, or TV. Well, TV is going to be manipulated. And if my internet's manipulated, maybe yours is too. And if you read it from a book, who wrote the book? Did the guy or girl
Exactly.
or person who wrote the book not have an opinion? Of course they did. So you're always susceptible to the lies. But then the whole thing with I think the president just your president just give her some
Oh boy.
UFO informations and stuff,
Yeah.
you know. So they're going, "Oh my God, there's all this stuff that we didn't know." And it's like, yeah, and they hid it. It's like, well, of course they hid it, you know, because it was all covert work, wasn't it? And who
Uh-huh.
says it's aliens or not? But how do we ever know? We will never know because nobody's ever going to be honest enough about it.
Yeah, I swear to God, I was about to do a Trump really bad impression, but I'm
Oh,
gonna leave it out.
oh,
I saw the alien. He was there. Everybody saw me. I shook his hand. Then you find out it's ice. You
oh
know,
yeah,
it's not even an alien out of extraterrestrial. It's just like,
yeah,
a border patrol.
yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah, quite, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I find all that
so
fascinating. All that fascinating, though. All that stuff is
yeah,
fascinating. You know, Roswell clearly was
yeah,
some shit going on at Roswell that wasn't what they said it was, and you know, just
yeah.
things going down that you know whatever happened at that place in Nevada. Who fucking knows? You know, who knows?
It's bad that there's local bars that are doing tinfoil hat parties.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean now we're really looking at some weird crap that's going on. Like, oof.
yeah. But you know
Uh,
what's interesting is you know the I mean all of them as well, Mossad, the CIA, you know, MI6, all of those developed countries that would remove toxic people out of governments and cause regime changes and help guerrillas and you know do all the kind of manipulative stuff that they do around the planet for the benefit of themselves, I guess, or their country. And it's quite possible, you know, I think that if you were part of a government, I'm not saying the American government or the British government, but if you were part of a government and you didn't want people to know this shit was going down, um you try not to talk about it. But one of the good things to do is to actually do it in front of people. So if you then go, yeah, we saw UFOs too. Yeah, we saw this shit. Yeah, we've heard noises as well. But you make it out like, oh, but people think we're crackpots, and then you make yourself into a crackpot. So you kind of
exactly.
embrace it, so that people, yeah, kind of accept that that's just some nutcase thinking that because you've
Mhm.
manipulated them into making think, oh, yeah, of course they're just nutcases. There isn't really those, but we think there is, and we've seen weird things. You know, you wonder how much the
Right.
government's actually manipulated that into having these tin hat parties and tin hat bars and all of that kind of stuff. You know.
Mhm.
Mm.
And the thing is, when you said, I get my information from books or the internet, I always tell people, like, "No, I get it from the homeless guy that's talking to a dead squirrel."
Yeah, exactly,
You know?
exactly. It's the
It's
guy. It's
better,
the guy at the end of the bar who keeps falling asleep and he keeps waking up to ask for another beer. I get it from him. I ask
Yeah,
him every time he wakes up. I ask
yeah.
him what he thinks.
He
Yeah.
sounds like a newscaster, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Um, so we're gonna jump into I decided to do another Chat GPT,
Oh yeah.
roast.
Oh God.
Uh,
Fuck. Oh
yeah,
fuck.
and,
Is this
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 one's
isn't
gonna
going to
be
be like
fun.
one of those Don Rickles one, is it? Because he just decimates everybody.
No,
Is it? Oh good. Okay.
no, no. It might
Oh
be
shit.
close. So the first one, it says Tony Demolition Man Dolan of Venom Inc., the man, the myth, and the walking lineup change.
Well, yeah, they've got a point. They've got a point. You know,
Uh,
that's the thing is, to be fair, is I never wanted another drummer or another guitarist. That's not where, you know, nobody wants to have 20 lineup changes. But you know, it's organic, I guess, and you can't chain someone to the fence. You know, so if they want to do what they want to do, you want to have them do what they want to do. And you know, for me, it's like if you're doing it and you're happy, because you should be happy doing it, then
yeah.
you stay. If you then find you're not happy, then you shouldn't stay. And I'm the first person to go. And I think a lot of times the problem is that I don't vocalize them leaving. I just carry on,
Mhm.
and then they kind of react to that as if it's like a disrespectful thing for me to do because I don't keep going on about them. But it's like, well, I'm not married to you. You're not my fucking girlfriend. I don't have to hold on to your leg and go, please don't go. What am I going to do without you? It's like, you know, you're going to
Right.
be okay without me, and I'm going to be okay without you. and I want to be happy doing this. I don't want to be unhappy doing this, and the same thing for them. So you don't want to force it. But I do realize in a minute it does look a bit mental. There has been a few lineups in the few bands I've been in, and someone quite rightly pointed out, going, you know, there's one consistent in all of this, yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, what's that? They went, you. So I thought, oh yeah, maybe it's me. Who knows? Who knows?
It should be called Tony Inc. Yeah.
Probably, yeah, probably, yeah, yeah. Fucking hell.
Uh, it says respect for the longevity, Tony. Keep holding it down. Maybe don't start any more new Venom factions. The fans are starting to get a spreadsheet.
Oh, fuck, a spreadsheet. That's fucking brilliant. Actually, that's a great idea. Thanks, ChatGPT. A
Yeah.
spreadsheet Venom. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well,
Oh my god.
I thought if
Yeah.
it's called Venom Incorporated, that's as far as you can go. But maybe I need a Venom Limited, and just go through the whole corporation thing. I need to find
Just
a
have a
CEO.
a Venom dot file name.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see how many versions we can make before people go, oh, for fuck's sake, shut up.
Yeah. It says fair play for still being out there doing decades later when a lot of your peers have hung it up. Not many people can say you've kept a cult classic name rolling this long. Which I thought that was kind of
Oh, that's
an accolade. That was actually
yeah,
kind of nice.
that doesn't feel like a roast. That feels like
No,
maybe yeah. That feels that's quite honourable. I'm
that
quite
was
glad of
nice.
that.
Yeah, I
I
think
think the same.
ChatGPT started feeling bad.
Yeah, after it cutting me off, yeah, it started to feel a bit bad.
Yeah,
But sorry, mate. Sorry, mate. Well,
yeah,
but I think that's the thing. I think for good or for bad, that Conrad is still doing Venom and still putting albums out. And you for every, I guess, metal black or hell or whatever, there's a fallen angels and from the very depths, and for every storm the gates, there's a into oblivion or whatever it's called, into oblivion. I was going to say pandemonium. I wasn't taking the piss. Into oblivion or oblivion, whatever it is.
hmm
But so you get the yin and the yang, don't you? Nobody makes that album over and over again.
yeah,
And every time it's a risk, you rely that to your audience. So I think that's good. That's good. I always said I didn't want a world without a Venom. They should always be a Venom. It doesn't have to be Venom. It could be another band that does something remarkable. But we need a Venom in there. The purity and the perfection and the big productions and all the money and all of that shit. Yeah, fantastic. But you need a Venom. You need like a Sex Pistols or a Venom or an Eddie Cochran to Elvis or whatever it is. You need the yin to the yang and Rolling Stones to the Beatles. You need that.
yeah.
So yeah.
Which that's funny because I have a Stone shirt on.
Ah, exactly. There. And I didn't even see it because I
Yeah,
haven't got my glasses on, so it could be in anything. I
yeah,
thought you looked very
I
nice.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, it's funny because then there's another one that says, "Keep rumbling on, mate." The spreadsheet of Venom lineups. Thank you for the continued chaos.
Brilliant. That's a good one
That
too.
was that
That's a
was
really
kind of
nice.
nice too. Yeah.
That's a very nice one.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
this
just
is
yeah, I'm
this is
just like,
going
all
well.
right, I'm gonna have to like go up farther
Oh,
and
don't read the shit ones. You're just looking for the shit ones.
it says keep swinging the bass like it's 1989 King. Just know that the only thing demolished these days is your knees after the set.
That's fucking true. Somebody once said, "How does it feel? Still doing it at your age?" I said, and Jeff was still there at the time before his first heart attack, and I said, "Well,
Yeah.
before we go on stage, we're nearly in our 60s. When we get on stage, we're not quite 20 years old, and when we come off stage, we're in our late 70s." That's how it feels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the three
Yeah.
stages of performance. Yeah.
Well, like you pick up your mic cable and you're standing up and it sounds like you're opening a bag of popcorn,
Oh my
you
God, yeah,
know.
the noises your
Yeah.
body makes. Like it's spontaneously. I remember going
Yes.
out the house once and my neighbor said to me, I live in a maisonette, so there's people who live above. And I went out once and he said, how are you? I said, yeah, good morning. And he was like, yeah. He said, you had fun last night. And I said, what do you mean? He went, well, you were having some fun last night. I heard you with your missus. What? Yeah, all the groaning and moaning. I went, what time? He said about 10:30. And I said, oh no, I was just taking my socks off.
Jeez.
I had to bend
Oh
down and
my
say it. So,
gosh.
so I said, yeah, your body makes noises, you know. But you know, I train every day. I train every day. I do my weights. I keep my diet clean, you know,
Yeah.
because of my age. So, you know, it helps. That really, really helps. The weights definitely helps the longevity, you know. So you keep your spirit strong and your physical as strong as you can be. It's more difficult when you're old, but that's it. Yeah.
This one's great. Your stage name is Demolition Man, but you look more like a bouncer at a Newcastle Weatherspoons, who is secretly which wait, hold on. Weatherspoons who secretly writes poetry. Don't burn the witch. Too late, Tony. Your vocal tone already did. Your growl sounds like a man who has been gargling gravel and regrets since the Thatcher was in power.
Oh fuck. Well, that's all completely true. That's all completely true. That's all I can
Oh
say
my
about that.
god.
Yeah, yeah.
I love you,
You
Tony.
know,
I swear to God.
that's so
Oh,
good. That's so
son
good.
of a gun.
These,
That
I
was
think,
good.
please send me after we do this. Please send me those. I love those. I might
Oh
use
yeah.
some of those on
Yeah.
a T-shirt or something. Yeah,
Oh
all
my
all
god.
totally true. Totally, totally true.
Yeah. Says respect for keeping your spirit alive, though. Most guys your age are playing golf. You're still out there in the leather pretending 2025 is 1985, and the kids are pretending like they know the difference between the three Venoms.
That's true. That is true. That is true. That's very clever. And you know the reason? There's a point. There's a point. This is for ChatGPT in response to that. The reason I'm still wearing the leather, pretending it's 1985 or 1982, whatever it is, and I'm not playing golf is because I can't play golf. So if I'd learned to play golf, I'd probably be playing golf. But as I can't play golf, I've got to do something, right? So this is it.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I'll have to send you the full thing. I don't want to go through like 70 of these.
No, that's 70 fucking hell. Brilliant.
Oh
That's
my god,
brilliant.
man. It's between the light roast and then they just get more and more brutal.
Oh shit. Go
Yeah,
on,
I'm
give me
not
give
going to do
me
the brutal ones.
give me a brutal one. Give me a
Uh,
brutal one.
all right, hold on. Here.
You should feel depressed as well as happy.
Yeah, uh, Tony, you're an absolute unit. They call you Demolition Man, but the only thing you truly demolish is the legacy of Venom's classic era. Corona steps away for 5 minutes in '88, and suddenly it's Primeval, the album that sounds like black metal if it got hit by a truck, full of midlife crisis and dad rock. You didn't bring the Venom, mate. You brought the Vicks Vapo Rub.
I like that.
That
Vic's
was
Vapor
that
Rub
was
is
a bit
something you put.
rough.
No, I like that. I
Yeah,
like that. I mean,
yeah,
that's good. It's panning. It's discerning. It is roasting. But yeah, I totally
yeah.
get that. I'll wear that. I'll wear that one. Yep, that's a good one. I like that. Go on, give me another bad one.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna pull this one up.
The Vic's Vapor Rub.
Uh,
I like that.
these are ridiculous.
You know, the irony being that sometimes before I would go on stage, I put some Vicks Vapor Rub under my so I could because it clears your head. So in a way,
oh,
it's right. In a way, it's actually right.
yeah. It says the Demolition nickname is Elite Comedy, though. You look and sound more like the friendly neighborhood bouncer who will carry your amps after the show than the guy who's supposed to be leveling venues. Gentle giant energy in full leather is a choice, especially when you growl these days like a gravel truck idling in a rainstorm. Oh,
That's yeah, but it's true. It's true. I do. I carry my own gear in and put it up there, and I just go to people. I'll help you with that. I'll help you with that. They go, "Oh, you're so nice." I'm like, "Oh yeah, forgot I'm not supposed to be." But again,
yeah,
to be fair, we did discuss this. To be fair, that's the extension. You know, when my gravity is kindness, and I'm a Satanist, so that's our first one of our first. One of our first laws is to be kind and to be giving and to be considerate. And you know that's Tony doing that, not the Demolition Man. That's the distinction. There's two
yeah.
people. Tony will help you. Demolition Man will fucking couldn't give a fuck whether you're struggling or not.
Throw your amps
That's
off
the
the
difference.
stage. Yeah.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
It says keep touring, Tony. the metal world needs its most committed heritage act. Just stop calling it Venom before someone mistakes it for a really low grade movie.
Oh. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, I do take that point. But they must remember, chat has to remember, this is Venom Inc., Venom Incorporated. It's not Venom. There is a
Yeah,
Venom. Conrad's in Venom.
right.
So they're confusing themselves.
100%. At least you're not going to get for copyright infringement. You
Exactly.
know.
And you know what's really weird is people go, "Oh, you shouldn't call yourself Venom." I go, "I haven't. You're calling me Venom." And they go, "But
Yeah.
you're not the real Venom." I go, "But I'm not called Venom. You're calling me Venom." So,
I
and
think I think I think people would lose their mind if you came in like a Venom outfit on stage in the US though. You know,
yes. Oh, yes. There
they
was
would
a
lose
point
their freaking minds.
there was a point where me and Jeff had discussed that as dressing up, and I was going to wear a half wig, like a half a red long wig, and just wear
Oh my
all
god.
Conrad stuff. Because they would go, "Oh, he's trying to be Kronos." It's like, when have I tried to be Kronos? At what point have I ever tried to be Kronos? Of course, I haven't. You know, he was a friend, he was an associate, and why would I try and be him? I don't try and be anybody else. So but again, that's when you have those gatekeepers trying to push their agenda
Mhm.
forward because they think they're going to lose something. They think if they allow me to do my thing without saying anything, or they like something that I do, or they concede that it's good, that they're doing themselves a disservice and they're going to lose something. It's like, you're not going to lose
Sure.
anything. You know what I mean? If you go into a candy store and you only eat one bag of candies, it doesn't mean that the store's empty of candy. And there may be better candy in there or worse candy in there. You choose what you choose, and that's what you like, and that's fine. But you can't tell other people you can't have any candy that isn't this candy because I like this candy. It's a crazy way of thinking. Um, but I can understand their fears, and so I accept that and acknowledge that, and my ethos is simple: is you know if I don't if I don't enjoy a band, I don't buy their music. I don't listen to them. If I don't enjoy the band, I don't go to their shows. But I don't feel impelled to write to them and tell them, or every chance I get to bring their name up to say I don't like them. I mean, why would I waste my time doing that? I wouldn't. So, yeah, I find that kind of strange. But yeah,
Yeah.
I take chat. I think the Chat GBT. Are these like? Do people ask these questions, or is it just Chat GBT? You ask a question and it
It's
just responds.
yeah, I just hit the prompt with who you are and I said write roast
Oh,
jokes.
okay, brilliant. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I got to
Yeah.
try that. I got to
It,
try that.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been very receptive, which is cool,
Yeah, I mean that's
you
another one of
know.
the things. People are worried about technology and stuff, but I think, you know, if I wanted to find something out before, I'd have to go to a library. When I was younger, and if I went to a country, if I hadn't done any research on where I was going, I wouldn't be able to. I'd have to try and learn some of the language before from a book, and I have to read up about where I was going. Yet these days, I can land in a place where I don't know anything about it or the language, and on my phone, I can find out in seconds what that building is. I can find out how to ask for a cup of coffee. I can play how to ask for a cup of coffee in the language. I mean, it's incredible technology. And ChatGPT is amazing. You can ask all of these things. To be able to talk to your radio and say, "Can you turn the lights down? Can you turn the lights up? Can you switch the TV on? Can you play this song from this album?" And it just goes, "Yep," and it brings it up for you. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, there's a good side of the technology as well, uh, beyond all the other stuff.
I'll, I'll tell you what, just because of the way you talked about that, I want to do a Chat GPT parody of one of your songs.
Oh, fuck.
So pick the song. I would like to do "There's Only Black," but
Oh, yes, do that.
is that cool? All
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
I'll do that, and I'll put it at the end of the podcast.
Oh, fucking brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Someone did do a couple of months ago. They sent me a song. A guy called Caleb from New Zealand, who's a brilliant journalist and wonderful person. But said, "Oh, I've got something for you." And he sent me through. There's a reggae version of Ave Satanas, and I was like,
Oh, heck
"The
yeah.
fuck? Who did that?" And he went, "Oh, I just
Yeah.
made it through, the Chat GBT thing, and it was fucking brilliant, and it makes you listen to it
Yeah.
so differently." So yeah, that would be fantastic. Do that.
Yeah,
Do that.
we'll put that at the end.
Killer,
Yep.
killer.
Uh, but at the end, I would like for you to, of course, talk about you, the band, the socials, where you guys are playing next.
Yeah.
Give the gamut of everything.
The schmoozy goozy. Okay,
Yep.
we have a brand new website which was launched by Marcel Klompf and Winston Ons, who runs the fan club there, and they revamped the whole thing, and it's running much more efficiently, and it looks superb. And that's at venominc.co.uk, and we have all live dates up there. With ticket links, so if you wonder where we're playing, you can go and check it out there. Or if you see a post and you're going, where is that? Go to the website. You can find the date, read it very easily, and there's a ticket link there if you want to punch into tickets. Any news goes up through there. Any releases, we've got impending releases coming out. We got a mini album coming out very soon, with some new songs which will be in our set on this tour coming up, which starts in 2 weeks' time, where we go out with Black Label Society, and then we have solo shows throughout Europe, several in the UK. I think we play 5 shows in the UK, 3 with Black Label, 2 by ourselves. Then we go into Europe. And then we have also a 5-track live session we did for Kiss FM in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. That's going to be released, a special edition. It may go with the mini album, we're not sure yet. And then we have some festivals through summer. Again, the dates are at our website, but you can find us on Instagram. You can find us personally on Instagram. Curran Murphy, Mark Jackson, Tony Dolan, of course, the real Tony Dolan on Instagram, and the Venom Inc. is up on Instagram and, of course, on Facebook. And then throughout the summer, towards the end of the summer, we'll have a live albums going out, which is every song we played over the 2 years since we've been performing as this lineup, which hopefully won't change. ChatGPT, be nice. Don't change it again. I don't want to have a fucking another drummer or guitarist. So yeah, and we're celebrating 11 years of Venom Incorporated. Venom Inc. is 11 this year, so that went by really quick. And then at the end of the year, October, November, hoping to go back down to Latam, and then we will record the new album, which we've getting the tracks together for, and that hopefully will be released early 2027, where we'll be in North America. So yeah, it's all to play for. So yeah, come and check us out. Come and chat. If you like it, you don't like it, you say what you want to say. I mean, if you're obtuse, we've got a new filter now, so if you're not positive, it'll be removed. Your comment will be removed. So there's no point coming on and spending half an hour of your time wasting saying what a bunch of cunts we are and what a bunch of cunt I am, and we're not Venom, because that will just be removed. And there's no point. You're just wasting your time. But feel what you feel. Hopefully you like the new material. Hopefully you'll come and see us on the shows. I can just say for myself, and I represent me, obviously, but also all of the Venom stuff, before me, during me, after me, currently. I think it's one big family. Obviously it's detached in a lot of ways. There's a lot of political stuff, a lot of propaganda goes down, and a lot of bitch slapping. I'm not into that. I'm not at school anymore. I'm a bit too old for all that. So I just do my thing. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But thank you all for all of the characters, all of the support, and the good stuff, and through the bad stuff, and continued support. There was a meaning to Venom, in particular. In fact, that whole beginning of us all, whether we knew it or not, and it happened. And to me, it still means something. It still is important. It still is the black sheep of the family. It still is the outsider. It still is the nonconformist. And so it should be, and we should celebrate that. Whenever you think things aren't possible, you purely have to look at what happened in those days, and particularly in respect of Venom, and go, the impossible can be possible. You just have to want to do it. So, you know, if there's any message, it's go change the fucking world. Just go and do it. Whatever it is you think you want to do, whatever it is anybody tells you you can't do, your family, your friends, your school, your boss, whoever it is, it's like there's only one person that makes the choice to go for it or not, and that's you. So believe in yourself. Believe if you want to do it, then you go and do it. That's the only power that's going to stop you achieving anything is you. So yeah, come to our shows, see us, let's chat, and feel that freedom of expression and feel that there is a possibility out there. And that's my
I love
story.
it. I was gonna say that almost had a religious ring to it, like you know how they say with God all things are possible. It should be with Venom Inc. All things are possible.
Yep,
You should make
yep.
that into a T-shirt.
You know,
You know,
they've thrown brick. Well, yeah, they've thrown bricks at us. They've ignored us. They've tried to push us out the game, and you know, everybody's tried everything they can. And here we stand, and here we will stand, and here we will go forward. And that's a testament to you guys, to the music, to why we do it. You know, and thank you for that power. Thank you for that belief, and thank you for that loyalty. You know, and you get it back in truckloads. So you know, but do use that to go. You know, anything is possible if you want to achieve it. So just go do it.
yeah. So at the end, I want to ask you, you know, say your name, of course, and the band, and say, "Here's my intrusive thought."
Okay.
If you can come up with one, that'd be great. Which I'm pretty sure you can. I mean, you're a man of words, so
Yeah. This is the Demolition Man, Tony Dolan from Venom Incorporated and Venom Inc. And my intrusive thought is why they don't put pickles on all pizzas. Because I do love pickles. That's intrusive. How was that? How was that?
you are. Uh, it's like putting ranch on pick. Or I was gonna put ranch on pickles. Putting ranch on pizza. Like, oh my
There
god,
you go. There you
please
go. Yeah,
don't.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
an
my
American
lord.
thing. You know, I bought ranch dressing today. I bought ranch dressing today. People were like, what's that? I said, ranch dressing. I said, you know, if you're American, you can't live outside America without it. And they were like, what is it? And then they tasted it. Went, oh my God. I said, yeah, but it goes with everything. That's it. So that's something you should
It
always
does
keep with.
not go with every. I always tell people if you're putting it on pizza, you're not
Oh,
allowed to vote.
yeah, exactly.
That's so
Exactly.
gross.
Oh,
You know.
yeah.
Yeah. If you're putting that on fettuccine alfredo, you need to be locked up.
Yeah, there's something
You
wrong.
know.
There's something wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's but
Yeah.
I think you know. I think once you if you're doing it and you're in America, you don't need to. But I think once you go outside of America, it's almost like a security blanket. It's like you know an Englishman looking for HP sauce, which is a brown kind of barbecue type sauce
Yeah.
outside of England, you know, or an English tea bag. You know, they freak out. It's like, oh, I'm still alive. There's still this possibility. So I think it's a security blanket. If you can be in the middle of Milan and find someone that does ranch dressing, you feel close to still home, you know? Maybe that's it.